Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you already know that I'm at the beginning stages of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. The system that is attributed to Madame Lenormand, but is actually developed in Germany from a German deck that had her name attached because she was really popular and would sell the deck. But it's a really, really intriguing, interesting system, and it's a system that I think helps us as tarot readers, just as I think learning tarot would be a very good expansive exercise for those who read systems primarily like Lenormand or Kipper or the Sybil cards, for example. Expanding our repertoire, expanding our knowledge base and our ways of looking at cards helps all of us cardomancers from wherever we begin, whether we begin with tarot or Lenormand or Kipper or something else. So friends, this is a really, really interesting beginning for me. I hope my exploration of this system is beneficial for you as well. And I've got a spread already laid out, and we'll take a look at that spread in just a moment, but now it's time to ramble. And I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of rambling before we begin this reading, so bear with me. A long time ago, I read a very, very interesting and very helpful book called Finding Your North Star by Martha Beck. And it's a book about finding your direction in life, finding what your purpose is, you might say, but not so much as a purpose that is given to us from above, but something which flows from within. And it gives us tools and ways of perceiving things. And whenever I see the star card in the Lenormand deck, that information springs to mind. And what is that information? What is finding your North Star? What does that mean? Is it a logical, rational thing where you're trying to figure things out? Well, there is some rational thought and some irrational thought that's part of the process. But really, it's a process of self-inventory, of discovering where our hearts and where our moral compass lead us. And those things are not so much mental constructs as they are things which we feel from within. So whenever I see the star card in the Lenormand deck, I think of things which pull us forward, things which draw us, whether we listen to those things or not. That there's always something that will help us show our way in life. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever gotten that sense of being drawn forward in a direction, feeling that this, not knowing, not an ethical figuring out, well, this is correct and this is incorrect, a logical, ethical question, but rather a moral question where our soul or a spirit speaks to us and tells us this is the right thing to do, this is the good thing to do, this is the beneficial thing to do. Have you ever felt that? Where did you feel that from? Did you feel it from your head? Now, this might be a strange or a strange question or a question that does not make sense to you, but follow with me with this question, even if it doesn't make sense. Where do you feel that? Do you feel it in your brain, in your head, like it's a thought? Do you feel it from your heart, like it's an emotional draw? Do you feel it from your gut, like it's something from deep within that's drawing you forward? Do you feel it somewhere else in your body? Where do you feel that draw of a North Star or a moral purpose or this is the right thing for me to do. This is the right direction for me to go in. Where do you feel that? For me, it's a heart thing. For me, I feel it here. I feel it as if my heart is being drawn, as if my emotions are being drawn. And so, for me, my direction, my North Star, is shown to me with the compass of the heart. And I might have just landed on a title for this video, with the compass of the heart. And that's interesting. And I'll tell you why it's interesting. I'll show you why it's interesting later on in the video. Wow, that is very interesting. Okay, so, friends, let me know. Let me know where you feel your North Star pulling you. I mean, it might very well be a mental or pre-conscious thing for you, something that feels like it's happening up here in the head. It could be like me, something that you feel drawing you from the heart. It could be like some other people where you feel it in the gut, yeah? We have a lot of mental neurons which flow from the gut to the brain through the heart, and we've got at least 3 really clear centers of thought processing or of information processing. So for me, this star is the heart. Where is it for you? Let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear that. I'd really love to discover where other people feel this thing. And if it doesn't make sense to you for right now, sleep on it for a while and then come back and let me know. Okay? Okay. So, friends, right now we're going to head right into the spread. I will show you the spread, all the cards. We'll talk about the cards briefly, and then we will break the spread into its 2 major parts, and we will read those parts together. Are you all ready? Here we go. So friends, I told you I would be switching out my decks at the new moon. Now for you, the new moon, when you see this video, has already passed. For me, the new moon has just arrived, but the spread was laid a few days ago. So I was still using the same decks that I used from the beginning of this deep dive into the Lenormand system. But stay tuned, because I'm going to switch out the decks for the next video. So get yourself prepared for that. But yes, you just saw a grouping of 6 cards in the center and then 4 cards at the corners, right? The cards in the center are from the Lenormand deck. They're from the it's a facsimile of the earliest Lenormand deck that we know of, at least to my knowledge, and it was produced in Germany. It's called the Game of Hope, and it was originally a game. It still is a game. It was originally a game, and the facsimile I have was created by the Cartomancer at Big Cartel. I have another version of the same deck, which is mass market. You can get that very easily. But I love the cardstock from the Cartomancer at Big Cartel. So I will put a link to her shop in the description box below. It's a fabulous card, a fabulous cardstock. It's a fabulous deck. It has 2 extra cards for the man and the woman, so you can switch them out if you want to have a man and a male partner, a woman and a female partner. They all work, and they all face each other, which is important for me in Lenormand. Yeah, having the significator person and that person's partner facing each other is very important when reading especially larger spreads. So this deck does all of that, and it does some of the other wonderful things that give us directional reading cues very nicely. So Wonderful deck, wonderful facsimile, and wonderful cardstock. Now, the 4 cards you saw in the corner, they're from my borderless Centennial deck. Yeah? And those 4 cards are giving us, there's a link in the description box below to a very similar production of that deck if you're interested in it. I love the coloration, I love the way it was produced. So, those 4 cards give us the elemental portion of the spread. Now, the 6 cards in the center are being read as a above-below Lenormand spread, where the 3 cards above give us where the het, our mind is, the 3 cards below give us what's beneath that. This 4 cards in the corners give us elemental information. So, in the upper left-hand corner for you, that would be fire, which is our passion and our leadership and our creativity. The lower right-hand corner is water for our emotions and for our intuition. The upper right-hand corner is where we'll find air for our rational thoughts, our vision, our communication. And then in the lower left-hand corner, there's earth for our work, our physical health, our resources. And I read those cards with elemental dignities, which means, for example, in the fire section, a fire card, for example, a wands card, would be very comfortable. An air card, like from the swords suit, would be exciting. It builds up the fire, and fire builds up the air. A card from the earth, from pentacles, would be copacetic, neutral, no problem. They walk very comfortably together. And then a card from the water section, the cups, for example, would be ill-dignified, they say. They fight. The water drowns out the fire, and the fire burns up the water. They fight with each other. So, we'll be reading those 4 cards, giving us the information for those areas of our lives, after we read the central 6 cards from the Lenormand. Are you all ready? So friends, first, I will show you the 6 cards from the Lenormand once more, and we will, so that you can get it back into your head, and then we'll read those 6 cards together. Are you ready? Here are those cards from the Lenormand deck right now. Friends, you just saw on the top from left to right, that's your direction, I think, from left to right, we had the ship, the star, and the moon. Now you know why I was focusing so much on that star card, right? And then in the lower left-hand corner, we had the crossroads, and then the house, and then the lily, right? So, I like to get a general sense. Now, not everyone agrees on which cards are positive, which cards are negative, which cards are neutral, etc. And my organization is a little bit more nuanced than just positive, negative, neutral. I've got 2 more, like positive, neutral, negative, neutral. I've got a little bit more nuance in the way I see the cards. But I like to just scan that to see if that gives us some general sense of where this spread is going. So at the top we have the ship, which is positive neutral for me, the star positive, and the moon is positive neutral. So we've got a fairly positive row of top cards. In the bottom we've got the crossroads, which are neutral. The house, which is positive neutral, and the lily, which is negative, which is positive neutral. We've got all of these cards with neutral being the closest thing to negative in this whole spread, and that is with the choices card of the crossroads or the paths. So we've got a really positive spread here overall, if you ask me. And then we do have a little bit of tension when we do the final little calculations at the end, but generally this whole spread is really positive, which is great. Yeah, especially considering last week's spread. And have you noticed? This moon card has shown up every bloody week. For the first 4 spreads that I laid for this deep dive, the moon has been there. The moon was in the center for the first 2 weeks, moved over to the left last week, and now it's over on the right. All on the top row. It's very interesting and significant, I think. Maybe significant because the question I ask every week is, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And for me, for us right now, the moon seems to be an important element of that. But we're going to start off with recognizing that the star card is the center of this spread. So that's why we talked about it a lot at the beginning of the video. But now we're going to read the line of 3. And the way I read the line of 3, generally, is from left to right. We'll read the line of 3. So let's start off with the ship as our... Okay, so I want to say is our anchor card. Though really the star is the anchor card. And there is another card which is the anchor, and so I just confused you. But the ship right now on this line of 3 is our, let's say it's the noun of the sentence, right? It's the first bit of strong information. It's the subject. And so what is the ship? The ship is something which moves, right? It travels long distances over water. Longer than we could walk, and probably longer than we could ride. It's not a boat. It's not a canoe. It's a ship made for large bodies of water. And so what are the ideas that we get? We get movement, right? We get distance here. We get traveling. So travel and holiday is one way of looking at the ship. Here's the ship. Being in motion and in transition is another way of looking at it as well. Ideas of trade and commerce are possible. The ship carries stuff and people, but also stuff from one port to another for trade, right? It travels great distances, like I said. And it can be used for some things like holidays or vacations. Yeah, especially in the good old days before cars and planes, and perhaps even before trains. It can also be a sense of longing or nostalgia. Back in the old country, right? We came over here by ship, and back in the old country we have the feeling of nostalgia. Even though we left because things were hard, there are some good things that we still remember. Now, if this is a person, this could be a foreigner, somebody from far away. It could be a business person, although business person to me would land more with the anchor or maybe even the bear, but still, it could be a business person for some people. And it could also be larger aspects of ship in our lives, like a life's journey, right? A crossing over from one place to another. And that's where we're starting this reading, with this journey, with this long distance. Like we're in this thing for the long haul, right? We're here doing whatever we're doing, and it's not going to be a short journey. This is our I almost said finding our path, but we've got the paths, the crossroads below. It's finding or feeling our way forward. And maybe there's some longing and nostalgia for the way things were, where we've left, but we might be in transition, or we're at least on a journey at the beginning of the spread. And what kind of a journey? What kind of a thing is this pointing towards? And okay, so let me put these in direction, because direction can mean something. So these two cards came up in this order, right? On the left we had the ship, and on the right we had the stars. So the star. And so we see that the ship is moving toward the star. We also get that directionality here. The ship is moving toward the star. And what is the star? The star could be good fortune, yeah. The journey is a journey, a beneficial journey. We just said this whole spread was a positive spread, right? It's a beneficial journey. It could be dreams coming true. It could also be destiny. It could also be guidance. Yeah, being the star. Oh, it could also be being the star, but I don't think that this is where this. It could be. You could be on a journey to become the star in your sphere. That's possible. But what I'm seeing here is the ship moving in the direction of and literally following the guidance of the star. Yeah? So finding our North Star, having our direction. The ship is moving in the direction of our North Star, which is good, which is exactly what we want to have happen, right? We want our journey to be, but we can, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. We can get off course. But our ship, our journey, our long journey, our transition is in the direction of where we want to go. Could be our destiny. I don't believe in destiny. If you do, you boo. I don't believe in a fixed destiny. I believe in things that draw us. And those things that draw us can change. Yeah? We can change our minds. We have free will, in my way of thinking. So, while this star is guiding us and is a fixed star, the position of that fixed star can change as we evolve as human beings, if that makes sense. So, our moral compass can evolve. Our fixed star can shift according to the way that we are maturing, we're growing, we're becoming the selves who we want to become in order to have the lives we want to live. Because remember, the intentional life is like a river, which is perfect for this large ship moving forward, right? It's a river of power and energy which moves us in the direction of the lives we have intended for ourselves. And that river can shift a little bit because the way that we move with this river is by doing two things. One, opening to the power. And two, evolving through the experiences we have to become the people who are ready to have the experiences we want to have. Because if we were ready to have all of the experiences we want to have that we intend for ourselves, we would have them now. So part of this journey is evolving into the people who are ready to have those experiences. And so that's part of this North Star, which points us in the direction of the powerful flow of intention. And this is moving us in the direction of, remember, we had the ship which faces the star, and then we move in that same direction towards the card which keeps following us these 4 weeks, the moon. And so what is the moon? The moon is something in the sky which is larger than the star, and it phases, right? It gets bigger and it gets smaller, and then it gets bigger and it gets smaller again. For me right now, and for you probably, we're in the waxing phase of the moon. So things are getting bigger. That could be something to remember, reading this card. This is a card of lunar activities, right? Intuition and emotion. Maybe our dream life. Maybe information from our dreams. Maybe that is helping us to find our North Star. Or it could also be recognition or reputation for some people. Yeah, rising, like the moon rises, rising success, rising reputation and recognition from other people. The light of the full moon is shining on us, perhaps. But it's also our heart business. It's the stuff that we love, we do because we love it. And for me, especially given the question, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? That heart business, that doing the stuff that we love is an essential part of the answer to that question since this card came up. So, our North Star is guiding us in the direction of being able to do that stuff that we love, or even loving the things that we do. And that'll come up later again. And maybe in that process, we might get some recognition. Now the star plus the moon together give us that idea of becoming the star, getting some recognition as well. So we might be moving in the direction of getting our recognition, but that is not how we live our life intentionally, right? The way that we live our life intentionally is by following that star in the direction of that thing that we love, and by following our intuition, and by following our emotions, by following that heart compass. Now the star is drawing us towards our heart compass, and they're in relationship in this top part of the spread. And now we've got 3 cards below. Now what's going on below the surface for us right now? We had the crossroads, the house, and the lily. So, the crossroads. You know what? I have not liked this card in this deck. So I love all the cards in the deck, but this card, of all of the cards, was my least favorite because I did not see the directionality clearly until just now. Yeah? It looked to me like there was just one path curving around, but I just saw the other path, right? So, I don't know if you can see this, but so there's this path here which comes around this way, right? Which comes around this way, and then it looks like it's going off this way. But there's a little road that goes off this way too. Do you see that? Sorry, I just got excited about that because I've been missing that extra road here, because that big road, which leads in the direction of the house, is so dominant that I've missed this little road coming off of here. Okay, so again, this deck is really, really wonderful. That one little thing has just shifted my opinion of this deck a lot. So here we go with the crossroads. Paths, yeah? It's a fork in the road. We gotta make a choice. We've got to make a decision. And when is the timing on this? The timing is now for the crossroads. Yeah? Make this decision now. Doing nothing would be the worst thing in the world when this card comes up. So, this card points to choices. It points to our having to decide the path, and we've got some guidance above, right? But below the surface, there are things that are going on within us that are calling for us to decide. Now, this card could also be a person, right? There's a queen up here in the insets, the card inserts. So it can be a woman who is undecided, or a woman who cuts her own path. If you got somebody like that in your life, this could be pointing towards that. It could be a woman who men like to be seen with as well, which is interesting. I think that has to do with it being the diamonds, the queen of diamonds, the queen of good stuff, yeah? So, people like to be seen with her. But she could be indecisive or highly decisive, maybe frighteningly so. So, like I said, if you've got someone like that in your life, this person might be an important element of this spread for you. Not so much for me. So, we start off with crossroads, right? And one of the paths, the biggest path, leads right to, from the crossroads or the paths to the house. So, the choice. One of the choices is the house. It's another person card as well, because we've got a king up here. But The house is what? It's where we feel comfortable, where we feel at home. This is our homely thing, right? Comfortable, familiar, safe. It's our direct environment. It's where we are right here and right now. It could be about privacy. Yeah, this is our safe space, right? Now, in some questions, it could actually be real estate, the actual house, the physical structure, and it can be our base ground in a more metaphysical sense. It could be security, stability. So this card describes our choices. And it looks like one of our choices is going to be in the direction of our homeliness. We want choosing the familiar, the comfortable, the something that is grounded, but something that feels secure and stable. So we want to make a secure, stable choice of our home ground, our base ground. Now remember, we're talking about journeys here. One thing that rolls through my mind at this point of this spread, particularly for me, is if I were to be transitioning, God, that felt like dying, but if I were to be transitioning from my current working and living space now, I'm not saying that this is what this is meaning for me, but if that is what this is pointing towards for me, how does that work with choosing something that is homely, something that is safe or familiar? Well, frankly, right now, I'm living in a city that is not my natural home ground. That doesn't mean I have to go back to my hometown that I was born in either, because frankly, my hometown is not my home ground. Yeah? Chicago is where I was born, and I lived there and I went back there every summer and every winter until I graduated from high school. So until I was like 17. If I wasn't living there, I went back there for the summer and the winter to spend time with my grandmother. My mom sent me away. But though I spent all that time as a child and a teen there, that is not my home ground. My next step of home ground would be Northern California, which is possible. But then as a maturing adult, I spent the most of my adult life in a place called Busan, South Korea. So that might be where I'm being called back to. You know? Now, choosing to go back to where I feel the most comfortable and the most familiar here in my new home of Korea. Does that make sense? Or it could mean for you that the choice that you make is not to leave your comfort zone, not to leave where you are. It all depends on your life circumstance at this point, at this time. Does that make sense? So the choice we're making, remember, the choice we're making is in the direction of and is described by the house, which is homeliness. And remember, homely here does not mean something that doesn't look good. It's something that feels like home, homely, comfortable, right? Familiar, secure, safe, grounded, rooted in who we are and where we are, our spiritual home or our family, our spiritual family. That's the kind of choice we want to be making right now. And that will lead us to what? That will lead us to the lily, which is what? It's a beautiful flower. And, I forgot to mention, I just forgot to mention, just mentioning. Now, remember we had the woman in the crossroads? The house gives us an older man, perhaps a father figure, a family man, a house husband. Yeah? So, maybe if you've got someone in your life that is like that, maybe that person can help you make the choice. I'm not sure that I have that person in my life, but if you do, that person could be helpful to you. Yeah? And now we're moving into the lily, which is also a guy. Yeah? It's another king. It could be a mature man, an older lover, a man with gravitas. Yeah? A grounded, a serious man that can give advice. So, if you got someone like that in your life, that person could help you make that choice of safety. But what other things do we have here? We've got the lily itself as being harmony and virtue. Right? It could be sensuality. There's a sensuality to the lily. And it's a singular flower. It's not a bouquet. It's not a garden. It's a singular, beautiful. Well, here there are three, but off of one plant, right? It's one singular, beautiful, tender, virtuous, harmonious flower. So, as we move into the direction of making a choice based on our sense of groundedness, our stability, a homeliness, a comfort, we can move in the direction of maturity and harmony, which is wonderful, right? That's what we want. Well, that's what I want. Is that what you want? Yeah? And maybe we might get a little bit of romantic sex out in the bargain as well, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, we want to be choose homely things, familiar things, grounded, secure, that give us the ability to grow, to mature, to feel harmony, to maybe have some good love and sex, yeah? Okay, so now those are the above below. There are a couple of other ways we want to read these 6 cards to give us some more information, some more clarification. So first we're going to read the rows. From the left, top, bottom, middle, top, bottom, right, top, bottom. So we start off with the ship and the crossroads, right? What does that give us? Now the ship is above the crossroads. So it's a journey of choices. Yeah, on this journey, this perhaps transition is going to require of us choices. Making the choice to go in the direction that we want to go in and not going in the direction that is less beneficial for us. Now, I'm not saying that we got to worry about it. Not saying that, oh my gosh, am I going to make the right choice? Oh, what am I going to do? That's not what this is pointing towards. This is pointing in the direction that we can make choices that will drive us, that will allow us to flow in the direction that we want to go, to flow on our journey of transition. On a very positive journey, right? Well, on a positive journey. We could make the wrong choice. It's possible. But we got some help for that, right? The next bit of help that we're going to get is from the star and the house. The star and the house together. The star is above. So that's our main card. Our direction. Now our good fortune as well, right? So how can we live our lives more intentionally? We could follow we might follow our direction of good fortune and our destiny, but I think we're following our North Star, which is guided by, which is informed by our sense of home. Yeah, our North Star, our guidance, not only our choices, but our guidance in choosing the right paths, is informed by our feeling of security, of feeling grounded, of feeling comfortable, familiar. Yeah, this isn't the time for taking a radical choice of doing something that we don't know. This is a time for flowing in the direction of the familiar and choosing the comfortable rather than choosing the uncomfortable. And sometimes we want to choose the uncomfortable. This is not one of those times, I don't think. And these cards move us in the direction of the moon over the lily. So, the moon. What is the moon again? Over the, where are you, Lily? Where are you, Lily brain? Here you are. Okay, so we have the moon over the lily. What does this tell us? We want, okay, I'm just going to go with my intuition. We want our intuition. We want to allow our intuition to mature, which will ask of us to be able to play with it, to experiment with it, to use it, and to follow it and see whether we're following our intuition or our fears, or following our intuition or our fantasy, right? Working with evolving our intuition, maturing our intuition asks us to try, right? One of the reasons I picked up these cards again after so many years, after so much time, was to reactivate, to activate my intuition. We all have it. We all have it. It's one of the things that we have. And sometimes for some of us, it's a very easily activated, not talent, but ability, thinking ability. It's a thinking ability. For some of us, we need to work on it. And so here we've got, if it's easy for you or it's something you're not familiar with, we want to allow ourselves to do what we want, what will help us to mature our intuition, which will help us do the stuff before of following our hearts, following our North Star, discovering our North Star, feeling our North Star, feeling the direction we want to go in. Yeah? And the virtue of also doing our heart business. There's virtue in that. If we're doing what we love, there is virtue in that. We're not doing it because we're doing it for the cash. And even though there may be cash involved, if we're doing it because we love that, we love it, if it's our heart business, our side gig, because we love it, there's virtue in that. So that is also emphasized here as well. The virtuousness, the virtuosity, the virtue of doing what we love. Does that make sense? So, friends, we got another way to read these cards. How? I call them V's, some people call them arrows. I'm not sure, so there's the arrow with the 9-card spread, which we'll get to a lot farther down the path on this year-long deep dive. But I call them V's, or maybe even a chevron, where we read the bottom left, the top center, bottom right together, and then the top left, the bottom center, and then the top right together. Or maybe backwards. Which way do we want to start? I think they're both equally important, so we're going to start with Crossroads Star Lily. Let's go with the upward pointing chevron first. And let me get those cards out for us, yeah? The crossroads, the star, and the lily. Here we go. Okay. And then we'll do the ship, the house, and the moon later. Okay, so let me tuck these away so they don't go flying around across the room again. Here we go with the crossroads. Yes, choices, right? We're making choices. Choices. Those choices are centered by the stars, yeah? So the stars, our direction, finding our North Star, finding our path forward, include making choices that are harmonious and virtuous. Yeah? Our direction, our North Star, our guidance is based on making choices that are harmonious and virtuous. And that virtue, again, can be our the thing that we do because we love doing it. That's a virtuous thing. So those three really do support this overall reading, right? Yeah, our North Star, our direction is founded on choices that are made, that are virtuous, that are harmonious. Remember the house in the center, the grounded, familiar, all those wonderful things, right? So, and then we've got the three cards that are downward pointing, right? The three pointing upwards, maybe those three are pointing towards our conscious mind. What's pointing in to our interior? Now, what's pointing in for us? What is pointing in for us are, in this order, the ship, below the house, and then above the moon. So the house is in the center, right? Where are we at home? Where are we grounded? And interestingly, the journey, I should say, the long haul journey of our heart business, of our intuition and our emotional direction is where we find our comfort, is where we find our groundedness, our home base. And while that does seem like a contradiction, yeah? Groundedness, home base, safety is that of a long journey in the direction of our heart business and our intuition. An intuitive journey, a journey of finding the work that we love and doing the work that we love if we've already found it. And it's in that motion that we find our safety and our security. It's in that journey, in that transition, that we find our groundedness. That's very odd, but very, I think, profound. Does that make sense to you? Now, there's one more way for us to look at these cards, and that's adding a little bit. So we're going to add the inserts on the top and the bottom to see what cards they're pointing towards. On the top, we had the 10 of spades for the ship. We had the 6 of hearts for the star. And then we had the 8 of hearts for the moon. So 10 plus 6 plus 8 gives us 24, which is the heart card. And that heart, that 24, the heart, has been showing up every spread so far. Also very interesting. On the bottom, what do we have? We have the crossroads, which give us the Queen of Diamonds. Yeah? We had the house, which is the King of Hearts, and the lily, which is the King of Spades. Now, queens are 12, kings are 13. So we've got 12 plus 13 plus 13, which give us 38. Yes, give us 38. There is no 38th card in the deck. So I reduce that. I add 3 plus 8, and that gives us 11. Okay, so we've got the heart, which is 24, and then the whip, which is 11. And the whip is a neutral negative card. Mostly negative, but neutral as well. Now, because this whole spread is so positive, we're going to read the whip in a more positive way. But we might get a little bit of a cautionary note here as well. But let's start with the heart. Heart, 24, love. So the top row is all about love. Love, following our hearts, right? Also doing what we love, the moon. It's a positive yes sign. So yes, do that. Do the journey. Find your star. Move in the direction of your intuition, emotion. Do the heart work. Do the work that you love as well. The bottom, the crossroads, the heart, and the lily, the crossroads, the house, and the lily give us the whip, which in its most positive ways could be exercise, yeah, doing physical work, repetitive physical work, which is what we do with a whip, yeah, or a broom. So This deck gives us not a whip. What is it? Where are you? Oh, that's right. So this deck gives us a broom, not a whip. That card, number 11, is sometimes a whip, sometimes a rod, and sometimes a broom. All giving us repetitive actions. Yeah, we sweep with a broom, repetitive. We whip to get things, animals, and sometimes people to do what we want them to do. And we use a rod also to prod animals and people sometimes to go in the direction we want them to go in, right? So there's the idea of repetitive action. It could be exercise. It could be something intense. But it could also be arguments, nagging, and fighting. Some people say eloquence. I don't get that. Just saying, I don't get it. But I get the idea of repetitive. So, in the positive way, heart plus whip could be continue doing the thing that we do. Yeah? Shampoo, rinse, repeat, right? Do the same thing. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. That is going to be beneficial. Now, if it becomes something that is irritating or feels intense in a negative way, we might want to revisit our hearts. We might go back and ask, why am I doing this? Where do I feel the love? And then when we feel that, again, do it, get back into the rhythm of doing the thing that we want to do. Does that make sense? So that's one little cautionary tale in making these choices of security and homeliness with our star, finding our guidance. Yeah, on the journey towards the moon, towards the work that we want to do, towards our emotional life, towards our following our intuition. We want to be careful. We want to be clear that we're doing this in a positive way of exercise, of repeating, and if it starts feeling irritating, if we start fighting around this, then we want to take a step back and do some inventory, do some introspection. Why am I doing this? Find that heart that was there, or that is there originally, and then go back into the process of the journey, following the heart. Does that make sense? Okay, friends, so we've got 4 cards from the tarot to give us a little more information. Let's take a look at those right now. Again, here they are. Friends, you just saw in the upper left-hand corner for fire, we had the Magician. In the lower right-hand corner, in water, we had the Emperor. 2 major arcana cards, right? In the upper right-hand corner for air, we had the 5 of Cups. In the lower left-hand corner, we had, in earth, the Ace of Cups. So we had 2 major arcana cards. I'm sorry, for you it would be this way. 2 major arcana cards and 2 cups cards. So it's not like one suit is missing, one suit is just really powerfully emphasized here. This is an emotional journey. And it's an important one. And nothing is particularly ill-dignified here. However, you could make a case that we might have a little bit of an emotional challenge. We'll get there in just a moment. Let's start with the fire, our creativity, also our leadership and our passions. But like I said, creativity, we are ramped up on creativity here because we got the Magician. Now, what is the Magician? The Magician is the one who manifests, who directs the power, the energy from above and moves it below. Right? The Magician is resourceful, is powerful. Some would say adroit. I don't use that word in everyday language, but I'll just toss it out there for you. This is an adroit creature, a character. The Magician uses creative mental power to bring thought into form. Right? Thoughts become things here with the magician. And you see with the gesture of the wand above and the hand below, yeah, as above, so below, as in the heavens, so on earth, it's the creative aspect of the spirituality. And it's also inspired action. We get inspiration from above to do stuff here in this physical plane, having these wonderful physical human experiences that we're having as eternal beings, as eternal beings having human experiences. So, wonderful. In our passion, in our creativity, we've got the power to create. On this journey that we're taking, following our star, following our virtue, following doing good, and loving what we're doing, and making comfortable choices, we've got the power to create. How wonderful is that? And then, in the next corner, we've got this card, in water, in our emotions. Now, the magician is, okay, let's go back to the magician. The magician is oftentimes associated with the planet of Mercury, which is domiciled in two places. It's domiciled in Gemini. That means it's in its home is in Gemini. And it's also in Virgo. Right? So it's in an air sign and it's in an earth sign, and with the fire, Mercury in the fire section with earth is comfortable, and with air is empowered, it's charged up. So this is very powerfully charged up. The Emperor is often, especially in this deck, associated with the astrological sign of Aries, which is a fire sign. And being a fire sign, in the water we have discomfort, we have some ill dignity here. What is the Emperor? To me, the Emperor is the male. Let's go with masculine. It's the masculine form of creativity. Yes, not male, masculine. Why do I say that? I say that because I am disassociating ideas of masculinity and femininity from sex, of biology. Male, female, cis, trans, intersex, all of those physical expressions of personhood as human beings. We all have all of the masculine, feminine spectrum within us. So, whether you are in a man's body, whether you're in a woman's body, whether you're in a trans body, whether you're in a cisgendered body, I don't like gender, but you're in a cis body, you're in a intersex body, whatever body you inhabit, you have the whole spectrum of masculine to feminine available to you. Now, we have preferences of which direction we move in, but you've got it all. So you've got masculine creativity within you. You have the potential to organize. And for me, masculine creativity is organization. It's structures. It's putting things in places. Yeah? It's creating boundaries and borders. And that's the way we make cities, right? And creating cities is a creative endeavor. It's a masculine creative endeavor. The Emperor is also the card of authority, now being in charge, now being the emperor, being the ruler. It's the card of, again, structures, also governments perhaps. It could be a father figure. And remember we had those two male possible people in the Lenormand spread below, right? We had the King of Spades with the lily, which gave us a smart a good advice giver, a man with gravitas, and we had the king of hearts with the house, which is a homely, a comfortable kind of guy, older guy. So we do have father figures up in the spread. So if this is father figure for you, that's great. But we also, especially here in our emotions, there's this idea of organizing and giving structure and having authority over, which is not necessarily a comfortable thing when it comes to the water of emotions and the water of intuition. So there's some discomfort there. We have this power to create, but emotionally, either our emotions are getting out of control, they're spilling over and outside of the boxes that make us feel comfortable, or we're trying to keep too tight a lid on, we're trying to control our emotions too much, which could be a negative thing. So we want to use right control, right order, right authority over our emotions, because we have the potential to choose our emotional reactions wherever we are. Whatever we're experiencing, we do have that potential. We don't want to repress our emotions. That would be the putting the emotions in a box and just trying to get rid of them, right? That we don't want to do that. That's not that aspect of the emperor that we want to engage. We don't want our emotions to flow out and drown out our potential to create order in our lives, right? We want to have a good, structured relationship with our emotions. And that's not necessarily easy. And I think that's what this is pointing towards, especially considering the spread we just read in the center. Yeah? We've got this power to create, but if our emotions get us either out of control or we try to suppress our emotions, we're going to go astray. And then we have up in the air, where is our mind? Because perhaps of that emotional discomfort, our minds are not necessarily focused where we want them to be focused. Yeah, in the air, our vision, our rational thought, where is our head at? We have the Five of Cups. Now this card was in the fire section last week, right? It's moved into our mind, yeah? So we experienced the discomfort of that with our creativity and our sense of passion, but now it's moved into our headspace. And this is the card of regrets and failures and disappointments. You see the guy looking at the three cups which are knocked over in front of him. And it's like, is that all there is? Is that what I came for? Is it all done? It's disappointment, right? Even pessimism, or the feeling of loss, mourning over things gone by, over cups spilled. And we see the liquid from the cup spilled out on the ground, down in this part of the card, right? You see that? But remember, there are these two cups behind him that he's not giving attention to. So, right now, our attention might be in the space of disappointment and feeling regrets about things and feeling failures. Now, I keep saying feelings, but that's where our minds are focused. And our minds could be focused somewhere else. But if we're focusing on losses and disappointments, we're draining our own power, right? Remember I said there were those two cups behind the guy standing on the Five of Cups? Well, when we move down into the earth, what do we have? We've got one of those cups here. We've got in our physical space, our resources, in our health, and in our work, we have water. And water is hunky-dory. It actually builds up the earth. Water and earth build each other up. They strengthen each other in the receptivity. So, we've got a really strong earth component here, which is what? It's love. It could be new love. It could be a new relationship or a renewed relationship. But here in the real world, in our real experiences of our lives, we have love, perhaps new love. Perhaps renewed compassion for other people. There's a creativity here as well. It's the creativity of the heart rather than the creativity of the libido. There's a sense of abundance here, abundance of resources around us, abundance of love, perhaps even blessing. We have real, practical blessings in our lives here. So what are these four cards pointing towards? Well, we have the power of creativity. We have the blessings and love available to us. But we have some discordant things to pay attention to. One of them being that our emotions are either getting out of control or we are trying to suppress our emotions. We don't want either of those. We want to have a good structured relationship with our emotional lives. And because maybe we're either repressing or overwhelmed by our emotions, our minds are focusing on the things that have gone wrong, right? Our regrets and our feelings of failure and our disappointments and what we have lost. But we can make another choice. We can pay attention to the actual physical present blessings in our lives, the love that is present in our lives. And perhaps that will help feed the power of the magician up in our fire space of creativity. Right? The beginning. And the magician is the beginning of the journey of the major arcana, right? It's card number 1. We imagine the Fool, card 0, as being the person who begins the journey. This is the first step on the journey. And we're here, again, talking about this journey that we're on with the ship. So we're beginning this journey through the major arcana, looking at the tarot cards as well. A journey of creativity and creation and power and resourcefulness and being able to move spirit, the power of spirit, into physical manifestation. So we have all of that, but we got to take care of this and this, right? Get our emotions in good order and get our minds shifted to the blessings that are available. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I would really, really, really love hearing from you. I truly appreciate everybody who leaves a comment. You are a blessing to me. And also, if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. Shoot me an email. We'll get you a reading. And also, I'd like to give a big thank you to everybody who hits the thumbs up button and everybody who has subscribed and hit the alarm bell. The alarm bell is for you, the subscription is for you, and also it's for YouTube. It helps get the word out that people are interested in this channel. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed and to those of you who have hit the thumbs up button. You are a blessing. Thank you. And now, as always, as we look forward to the next reading with a new set of decks, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.